court of the tabernacle to be made? This is the question that we seek to answer today as we continue our verse-by-verse study of the book of Exodus on walking through the Bible.
Of his word, the glory of his cross.
If you have a Bible with you, you can turn to Exodus 27. We're going to be reading from verses 9 to 15. If you don't have a Bible, don't worry. Just follow along with us on the screen. The version that we'll be reading from is the New King James Version. So, Exodus 27, beginning at verse 9. You shall also make the court of the tabernacle. For the south side there shall be hangings for the court made of fine woven linen, 100 cubits long for one side. And its 20 pillars and their 20 sockets shall be bronze. The hooks of the pillars and their bands shall be silver. Likewise, along the length of the north side there shall be hangings 100 cubits long, with its 20 pillars and their 20 sockets of bronze, and the hooks of the pillars and their bands of silver. And along the width of the court on the west side shall be hangings of 50 cubits, with their 10 pillars and their 10 sockets. The width of the court on the east side shall be 50 cubits. The hangings on one side of the gate shall be 15 cubits, with their 3 pillars and their 3 sockets. And on the other side shall be hangings of 15 cubits, with their 3 pillars and their 3 sockets. Since chapter 25, we have Moses upon Mount Sinai receiving instructions directly from God. Specifically, what we've been dealing with are the instructions about making the sanctuary of God. The materials for the sanctuary were to be gathered via free will offerings from among the people. In asking for these offerings, God was not demanding something that they could not do, but something that they could do. In making this offering, the children of Israel showed their desire of worshiping God according to his instructions, but it also showed their love for God in wanting to follow his instructions in the first place. In chapter 25, we dealt with the instructions for building the Ark of the Covenant, including the mercy seat, the table for the showbread, and the golden lampstand. In chapter 26, we discussed the instructions for the building of the tabernacle itself, including where in the tabernacle to place the items mentioned in chapter 25. And then in our last episode, we had instructions for building the altar of burnt offering. As we went through these instructions, it would be very easy for listeners to zone out because A, these instructions were very elaborate and specific, and B, because we do not have these items present in our worship today. Such would be a mistake, however, for God still asks for free will offerings from Christians for the purpose of helping needy Christians and spreading the gospel. God still requires worship, and even though our worship is spiritually focused, without all of these physical items, it is still necessary to follow the pattern revealed in God's Word. Understanding that God cares about the way we worship him is evident from this text and should keep us from veering off into unauthorized forms of worship today. In verses 9 to 15, we have part of the instructions for building the court of the tabernacle. The rest of these instructions we will get to in the next episode. When we think of the tabernacle, we think of the building itself, but actually it was surrounded by a court or an open space that was enclosed by walls. Inside these walls, the functions of the tabernacle were undertaken, not only within the tabernacle, but within the court itself. On the south side of the court, which on our screen is the left-hand side of the picture, there would be hangings made of fine woven linen, meaning that this would be a hard, firm fabric. These hangings would serve as the walls of the court of the tabernacle. This side of the court would measure 100 cubits long. A cubit is 45.72 centimeters or 1.5 feet, so the south side of the court would measure 45.72 meters or 150 feet. That meant the length of the court of the tabernacle was 3 1/3 times larger than the tabernacle itself. There were to be 20 pillars on the south side to act as structure for the walls, as well as sockets for keeping those pillars in the ground. These sockets would be similar to the sockets that we discussed in the building of the tabernacle. It can be assumed that these pillars would be made of acacia wood, like the pillars of the tabernacle were in chapter 26. These pillars would then be overlaid with bronze. The sockets for the pillars were to be bronze as well. The hooks and their bands on which the curtains would be hung were to be made of silver. The north side of the tabernacle, on the right side of the picture, would be made in the same way. The width of the court on the west side of the tabernacle, the top of our picture, would be 50 cubits long, meaning it would be 22.86 meters or 75 feet. Because the width was half the length, it would then only need 10 pillars and 10 sockets, just like on the south side and the north sides. there would be hangings to be used as the wall. The east side of the court at the front of the picture would be the same overall width as the west side, 75 feet. However, a door or a gate would need to be made, instructions for which we will read in the next episode. So in order to allow for this gate, God said that the hangings on one side of the gate would measure 15 cubits, or 22.5 feet, and would be divided over 3 pillars. The same is true on the other side of the gate. This would mean that the gate would fill the remaining space and measure 30 feet in width. We'll continue with the instructions, the Lord willing, in the next episode. With that, our time is up for today. Lord willing, we hope you'll join us for tomorrow's discussion of Exodus chapter 27, verses 16 to 21, as we continue our walk through the Bible, one verse at a time.
I'm not a...
Thank you for watching today's episode. We hope that you found it edifying and ask that you not only subscribe to our channel and podcast, but that you like and share this episode among your friends, so that the saving gospel of Jesus Christ can go out to the whole world.
Of his